A lot of people are already mad about some of the content in South Park: The Fractured Butthole. This astounds me. Despite being controversial for almost 20 years, some people still seem to miss the point with what this is, and to be frank, that makes me sad. The main reason is because Ubisoft's upcoming game based on the license is absolutely fantastic. A game that refuses to accept the PC world we live in today and instead finds humour in literally anything, taking no prisoners as it goes. There's certainly a lot here to be offended about should you be of a certain makeup, but therein lies South Park's whole shtick. No one is safe, and as such, you just never know what they're going to do or say. It's wonderful, quite frankly, and The Fractured Butthole carries on that legacy by coming up with scenarios that will make your jaw hit the floor. And if you're like me, you'll be giggling away to yourself as you realise that Trey Parker and Matt Stone just don't give a damn. Given how much I enjoyed this, I'm delighted they don't. That does mean you'll be fighting paedophile priests, learning how to craft with Morgan Freeman, and running errands for the local police department that can only be described as hate crimes. But it all happens under the guise of a knowing wink and nod into how ludicrous the world has become. It's a delightful look into modern day society, only with the spin that it's happening around a bunch of kids who are playing superhero. To me, that is the greatest thing I've ever heard. This is the lay of the land here as well. As Cartman seeks to boast the popularity of Coon and friends through the magic of social media, you, the new kid, are tasked with making your own hero before trying to get the word out. A lot of this does happen with Coonstagram, a mockery of Instagram, which of course is the worst of all the social tools, and you literally do go around trying to get as many selfies as possible. It's lightweight as a game mechanic and doesn't really affect things too much, but the idea of it is awesome, and some of the jokes told through it are spot on. After all, who wouldn't want to take a snap with Morgan Freeman? Exactly. You could argue that this is similar to the Stick of Truth Mind. That was undoubtedly one of the funniest games ever made because of who was writing it, and this carries on that mantle perfectly, because of course it does. It's South Park through and through, and if it's never been for you, then why the hell are you even thinking about it to begin with? Doesn't make any sense. The real shift comes in the battle system, which the developer has enhanced to try and improve the interactive side of the experience. While it still follows the turn-based mechanic that Paper Mario adopted, meaning although you do take turns, there's always an element of movement or defending you can do, a grid system has also been introduced, which adds an extra layer of strategy. Straight up, I didn't think much of this when I first started with it. I missed the more simple approach from before, mostly as I wanted to treat fights as an easy distraction and then just get to more jokes. I just want jokes. After a few hours though, well, Ubisoft has got this spot on. Although still stripped back enough that anyone can understand it, it does allow you to be far more tactile than previously, and as such, battles are now twice as fun. You're encouraged to take your time and survey the area while also working out what attacks will strike what zone. It's far more engaging than what we had a few years ago, and because of this, brawls do feel like less of a chore. And that's great considering you're going to be involved in a lot of them, including, yes, a scrap with two priests, who are most definitely among the worst humans on Earth. Ultimately, it all comes down to the writing and the story, however, and I found myself in tears for most of my playtime, and that was only the first few hours. I cannot tell you how good Morgan Freeman is in this, and Trey Parker's impression of the actor is among the worst, and therefore best, I've ever heard. The balance between out-and-out silliness and cutting satire is near perfect. At the end of the day, we play games to be entertained, or at least I do anyway, and this was an absolute joy from start to finish. It doesn't hurt that it's a masterclass in how to adapt a television show, and there's simply no way a South Park fan won't enjoy this. If you don't, I'd argue you never liked the show to begin with. This has the potential to be better than most seasons if the writing stays as good as this, and it will do too, because it always does. So it's business as usual if you played the Stick of Truth, only with a lot more bells and whistles that make it a better game, which was probably its biggest stumbling block before. That's why I have a pretty good feeling it's going to be the best game of 2017. It'll have me laughing from beginning to end, and let's face it, that's exactly the point of life. Smile, be happy. Cheers, South Park. Now don't forget to head on over to patreon.com/Simon316 and support these videos. Like, share and subscribe. Do whatever else you do on YouTube, and I'll speak to you soon.